Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Welcome to the Leylo Show. All right. So, yesterday I streamed about the USA striking Iran. We talked about the bunker buster missiles and everything else. And after I got off the live, I took a quick nap. Yep, I took a nap. When I woke up, Trump had negotiated a ceasefire. A ceasefire. That quick. Yeah, that was crazy. So apparently there's a ceasefire now. I don't know what happened. So we're just going to find out what happened now. We're going to figure out what the hell just happened. All right, let's get into it. Officially, Iran will start the ceasefire, and upon the 12th hour, Israel will start the ceasefire, and upon the 24th hour, an official end to the 12-day war. We had a war for 12 days, y'all. Will be saluted by the world during each ceasefire. The other side will remain peaceful and respectful. So the ceasefire is between Israel and Iran. Those who don't know, Israel and Iran have been fighting a religious war for umpteen years, decades or whatever. And according to news sources, Trump has issued a ceasefire between the two. And I think Trump either went yesterday or today. He's going to the UN to Qatar. My sister's in Qatar too, so prayers go out to her and her family out there. But yeah, let's get into it. See what's going on.
Of intensive back-channel diplomacy involving Qatar. According to sources familiar with the negotiations, Trump first reached out to the Emir of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, and asked him to mediate the ceasefire with Tehran. Following this, Vice President J.D. Vance worked closely with the Qatari Prime Minister's office to hammer out the details. The agreement reportedly followed Iran's retaliatory strikes on a U.S. base in Qatar, escalating tensions to a dangerous high. U.S. officials say the Israelis had already accepted the ceasefire on the condition that Iran stop all attacks inside Israel, a condition Tehran agreed to, according to sources. President Trump communicated directly with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, while Vice President Vance, Secretary of State and National Security Advisor Marco Rubio, and Special Envoy Steve Witkoff engaged with Iranian officials through both direct and indirect channels. The White House believes the ceasefire was only possible after the U.S. bombed 3 of Iran's nuclear facilities on Saturday, which they claim shifted the balance of leverage. Meanwhile, Iran has rejected the ceasefire proposal. Iran Foreign Minister Syed Abbas Araghchi said clarified that Iran has not agreed to any ceasefire. The latest conflict between Israel and Iran began 12 days ago and has taken a heavy toll. According to independent human rights groups, over 950 people were killed in Iran, including hundreds of civilians and military personnel. In Israel, the death toll stands at more than 24, with hundreds more injured. For now, the world watches and waits for official confirmations and signs of restraint from both sides. But if Monday night's announcement holds, it could mark the most significant breakthrough in the volatile Middle East in years, brokered by President Trump in a high-stakes diplomatic gamble.
So Iran didn't agree to the ceasefire? That's interesting. So Iran just just violated the ceasefire. So Iran is they with all the smoke right now. Iran, they ain't going for the ceasefire. So it went from a 12-day war to a ceasefire according to Trump, and now it's not a ceasefire anymore. And technically, from some of my sources, this is supposed to be the beginning of World War III. So it makes sense if Iran is bucking on the ceasefire, but I don't know why they would do that. Trump is set to attend the NATO summit in Hague on Tuesday, which was yesterday, where global security is expected to be a key focus. So this is like, I don't know, man. This is crazy because it's a lot going on that shouldn't be going on. But if you know really what's going on, it should be going on, if that makes sense.
US President Donald Trump says Israel and Iran have both violated a ceasefire hours after it came into effect. Israel has accused Iran of firing missiles towards the country, which Iran's military chief denies. Trump has warned Israel against retaliatory attacks, saying it would violate the agreement. And in just the past hour, he's spoken by phone with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. US media are reporting that Netanyahu told Trump he cannot cancel an attack on Iran. Well, Phil Lavelle is following developments from Washington, D.C.
President Donald Trump wasn't just angry, he was furious as he spoke to journalists as he left the White House on his way to the NATO summit in the Netherlands. He was speaking about the ceasefire that he managed to broker, the ceasefire that he publicly announced on social media at 1 o'clock in the morning, just hours before it was apparently violated. He said he was angry with both Israel and Iran, but he was particularly angry with Israel. Here's what he had to say.
I didn't like plenty of things I saw yesterday. I didn't like the fact that Israel unloaded right after we made the deal. They didn't have to unload. And I didn't like the fact that the retaliation was very strong. But in all fairness, Israel unloaded a lot. And now I hear Israel just went out because they felt it was violated by one rocket that didn't land anywhere. That's not what we want, I'll tell you. And I'm telling you, I'm not happy about that, Israel.
The president was also particularly scathing about the US media because there's been a lot of discussion over whether Operation Midnight Hammer actually achieved its goals. The president has said that Iran's nuclear program has been completely obliterated. In fact, when he was speaking to journalists here, he said they're never going to have a nuclear weapon. But at the same time, many analysts here have been questioning whether or not those facilities were actually destroyed. Did Iran manage to get some of that uranium out? The vice president was asked about it on Fox News just last night. He sidestepped the question. Donald Trump said it is simple that the fake news media, as he refers to them, he called CNN, he called out MSNBC, who he calls MSDNC. He said they're going after me, but instead they are harming these pilots. The question is whether or not the goal was achieved, and that is something we'll only find out in the coming weeks and months. Phil Lavelle, Al Jazeera, Washington.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. It's hard to say what's actually going on. I know there's some underlying meanings, and I've heard rumors about taking over some gas and oil fields and things of that nature. I don't know. I can't say. But it can and will get ugly. People are losing their lives. Let's all remember that. Even though it's not happening in this country, knock on wood, but it is happening. And there are innocent people that are actually losing their lives because of this stuff. So, anyway, hit the like button, subscribe button, man. If you're in the live right now, hit the like button for me. Did you hit it? You hit it? You hit it? All right, good. Hit that like button, subscribe button, hit the notification button.
This morning, the fragile ceasefire between Israel and Iran, which may not be holding. There were attacks leading up to the deadline, but afterward, Israel accused Iran of violating the agreement and ordered new strikes against Tehran. Israel's defense minister said Iran fired missiles, but Iran denied the allegation. Overnight, President Trump posted online that the ceasefire was in effect and wrote, quote, "Please do not violate it." And the president left the White House moments ago on his way to the Netherlands to attend a NATO summit. And he told the White House press pool there that he doesn't think the ceasefire is broken. And when asked if Israel is committed to peace, he said these countries have been fighting for so long, they don't know what they're doing. And yesterday, we saw Iran attack a U.S. airbase in Qatar. This was in retaliation for the weekend strikes against 3 Iranian nuclear sites.
Yeah, I know about the U.S. airbase that was attacked in Qatar, but from my understanding, they got heads up. Like somebody called Trump or his staff or whatever and told them, yeah, get your people out of there. We're finna bomb this place. And I seen a clip somewhere. I'm gonna find that clip, but I think Trump was like, "Yeah, we got heads up. We already knew they was gonna have it," and he was hoping they got it out of their system. You know, they got money. They gonna rebuild. Nobody got hurt, but you know, I don't know. It's like a game of what you remember that game we used to play back in the days, Battlestar or something like that, or Battleship. You remember the game Battleship? It's almost like this is a game.
The president says Iran gave the U.S. a heads up about that attack. There were no casualties. Right. Let's connect now with Weijia Zhang at the White House following the president's response. You also see CBS News senior foreign correspondent Deborah Patter. And I think, Deborah, we're going to begin with you in Tel Aviv. What is the state of this fragile ceasefire? And I'm wondering if there's any early reaction to the president's criticism of Israel this morning.
Well, you know, ceasefires are always stressful in the first few days. They're always fragile because both sides are watching, waiting to see what the other one is going to do and whether the peace will hold. There hasn't been any reaction to the president's comments yet this morning, but both sides are playing essentially a waiting game, and the hope is that things will remain steady. We saw already in the hours before the first stage that the ceasefire was supposed to come into effect. Both Israel and Iran tried to inflict maximum damage on each other. Israel launched one of its deadliest attacks of the past 12 days, and the Israeli government said it destroyed dozens of government targets, killed hundreds of revolutionary guards. And then we saw Iran's parting shots, which came in 6 waves of missiles just before that ceasefire took place. It hit the Israeli town of Beersheba, where at least 4 people were killed. And so now we wait, we hope, and I think certainly on both sides there are people really hoping that this is the end of this chapter of the story.
And Deborah, as we wait to see what happens on that front, there is another conflict and dispute that's ongoing between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. What is the situation there?
Well, of course, attention has been diverted away from Gaza over the past nearly 2 weeks. The United Nations has said today that they hope the ceasefire between Iran and Israel will lead to a ceasefire in Gaza, where the humanitarian crisis is sinking into an even greater catastrophe. You know, some aid is getting in, it's not nearly enough. And almost daily, we're seeing reports, Errol, of people killed trying to get food. These are starving Palestinians who head...
No, look, this is how they getting aid over there. Like, it's trucks just riding around. Look, I thought I saw somebody try to flatten the tire with a machete or something.
You know, some aid is getting in. It's
like somebody right in here was trying to flatten the tire with a machete.
Not nearly enough. And almost daily, we're seeing reports, Errol, of people killed trying to get food. These are starving Palestinians who head to the limited number of distribution points, mostly run by the Gaza Humanitarian Fund. And the United Nations' Philip Lazzarini was very strong today, saying the newly created so-called aid mechanism is an abomination. It humiliates and degrades desperate people. And he called it a death trap that's costing more lives than it saves. And just today, over 70 people were killed, 50 of them, Errol, trying to get food.
Man, over 70 people killed and 50 were trying to get food. Like people are dying over there just trying to eat. And, you know, that's sad, you know. I don't know.
Wow, important to keep all of that in mind. Deborah Patta out of Tel Aviv for us. Deb, thank you. All right, now let's jump over to Weijia Zhang at the White House, where we've got a few headlines emerging just in the last hour, Weijia. We've got President Trump on his way to NATO and criticizing Israel, telling it not to drop bombs as he left from the White House. And I understand he's just sent another message online. Can you help us understand what that is and what this all means?
Yeah, Errol, well, first, we need to set the stage here because it was just 12 hours ago that he was celebrating the fact that he says he brokered the ceasefire between Israel and Iran. He posted, "Congratulations to the world. It is time for peace." So fast forward to just a short time ago when he spoke here right before leaving for the NATO summit in the Netherlands. You can see here on your screen what he just posted, but that here.
Israel is not going to attack Iran. All planes will turn around and head home while doing a friendly plane wave to Iran. Nobody will be hurt. The ceasefire is in effect. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States. Okay, so Donald Trump, I guess, tweeted this, or maybe he did it on, he did it on Truth Social. I don't think he's going to be tweeting for a while since, you know, his little breakup with Elon. But he did put this on his own platform. So
right before leaving for the NATO summit in the Netherlands, you can see here on your screen what he just posted. But that is because, and we'll get to that in a minute, but first we should set the stage for the viewers so they know what has transpired. So he expressed extreme frustration, Errol, because he said that both sides violated the ceasefire. And then when he walked away, he said, "I'm going to go do something about it," essentially. And then just moments ago posted this. He said, "Israel is not going to attack Iran. All planes will turn around and head home while doing a friendly plane wave to Iran. Nobody will be hurt. The ceasefire is in effect. Thank you for your attention to this matter." So he is saying now that it is back on. That's after he was right here on the south lawn of the White House, really showing how frustrated he is. For your attention to
Israel's not going to attack Iran. All planes,
this matter. So he is saying now that it is back on. That's after he was right here on the south lawn of the White House, really showing how frustrated he was, Errol. Even using the F word to describe the fact that he says these countries didn't know what they were doing. Actually, we have a clip for you so you can hear a little bit of what the president said.
I think so, but I'm not happy that Israel's going out now. There was one rocket that I guess was fired overboard. It was after the time limit, and it missed its target. And now Israel's going out. These guys got to calm down. It's ridiculous. I didn't like plenty of things I saw yesterday. I didn't like the fact that Israel unloaded right after we made the deal. They didn't have to unload. And I didn't like the fact that the retaliation was very strong. But in all fairness, Israel unloaded a lot. And now I hear Israel just went out because they felt it was violated by one rocket that didn't land anywhere. That's not what we want, I'll tell you. And I'm telling you, I'm not happy about that, Israel, either.
Okay, so the president was not happy. But again, just a short time ago, he posted on Truth Social that now Israel is not going to attack Iran and the ceasefire is back in place. So there is a possibility that he went aboard Air Force One, maybe hopped on the phone to talk to the Prime Minister Netanyahu. We don't know exactly how this transpired. But again, it's on this roller coaster, Errol, that we are closely watching because, you know, you never know what's going to happen in the next 10, 20 seconds.
Yeah, and what's remarkable, Weijia, is that this roller coaster is highly visible. It was about an hour ago when the president left and made those remarks, and about 6 minutes ago when he posted that message online saying, okay, Israel will turn those planes around. We know the president is on his way to this NATO summit in Europe. Does that play into, or does this perhaps personify how publicly he's trying to show that he's either in control or creating a ceasefire situation?
Errol, you really nailed it here with this question, because we can report in the hours right before we started covering the U.S. strikes on Iran, and we were all asking the question, will he or won't he? A U.S. official told CBS News that one calculation going into the decision-making was that President Trump wanted to arrive to the NATO summit in a position of strength as it related to Israel and Iran. He wanted to be able to show in one way or another, whether it was going to be a deal or strikes on the nuclear facilities, that the U.S. had made progress toward ending Iran's nuclear program. And we saw that position of strength unfold yesterday because he was, as I mentioned, celebrating the fact that there was a peaceful end, that there was a ceasefire. He was also thanking Iran because its response to those U.S. strikes, he said, was calibrated, and he actually thanked Iran for giving the U.S. a heads up on that. So he was going to walk onto this world stage in his mind with something to celebrate, with something to show America's strength and his decision making. And then that sort of all fell apart this morning. But now I think he's trying to repair that, because in just hours he'll be having dinner with more than 30 world leaders. Errol.
Yeah, and it's a long flight to the Netherlands, and with such a fragile ceasefire, anything can happen.
Yeah, so he's on his way to the UN, and I'm pretty sure that there's going to be a lot of discussion about, these past few hours of and what happened over in Iran and Israel. But it's good that he's trying to, promote peace between the two, with the ceasefire. We don't know really what it's all about. They've been fighting for so long, like you said. They've been fighting for so long, they don't even know what they're doing. This shouldn't be the age of fighting at this point. Like, we should be all unified, worldwide, and I personally like what Trump is trying to do. And I know for a fact, if Biden was in office, he would be taking somebody's side, and, he'd be ready for whatever smoke is because, it's always an ulterior motive that we don't be knowing about, us, the public. I will say this, that I know it's a lot of people I've been watching online. I be paying attention to what people be saying. Mostly the Dems are, basically saying that Trump is doing a terrible job, but I don't see it. I think he's shaking some stuff up, and he's putting some things back in order. I still don't see the racial stuff people be talking about, but that's another post. I might do a post about it, and we'll see where it goes from there. Let's see what else we got here though.
President Trump promising the war is over and that both sides will be peaceful and respectful. Plus, the heat is on. Could someone please turn it off? Nearly 150 million Americans are melting. How long you will have to sweat it out in this brutal June heat wave. And did he do it? A jury will decide whether Sean Combs will spend the rest of his life behind bars earlier than expected. Those stories and more today, Tuesday, June 24th. I'm Caitlin Becker, and this is the New York Postcast.
The jury selection or the jury,
for Pittsburgh, and basically the entire...
The jury is about to go into deliberation real soon, so we'll get into the Diddy case or whatever. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe.
Mid-Atlantic and Northeast. And that doesn't even count the high humidity that made it feel so much hotter.
Okay, so she's talking about, we want to talk about
specific fashion, but he said that it will go into effect in 24 hours. And in that meantime, the first 12 hours, Iran will have the ceasefire. The second 12 hours, Israel will have the ceasefire. And then in the final, 24th hour, the ceasefire will hopefully be implemented and it will be an end to the war. And the announcement really came out of nowhere Monday night because just hours earlier, Iran had been trying to strike a U.S. military base in Qatar. So apparently, according to the president, just in hours, there had been an agreement between Israel, Iran, and the U.S. We'll just have to see if it really does hold up.
Now, the president said that the ceasefire equals an end to the war. But do you feel like that's an oversimplification? I mean, tensions between Israel and Iran go far beyond this 12-day conflict that he mentioned.
I mean, if the ceasefire does hold up, I think it will be an end to this specific war as he describes it. But of course,
this is,
This is a Fox News alert. Our president is speaking as he is about to leave for the Netherlands.
I went on a mission this morning. I got to get Israel to calm down now.
Did you get to speak with the Prime Minister? Did you talk to Prime Minister Netanyahu last night?
I speak to everybody.
Are you going to call the Prime Minister?
Both sides. Lives in the line. I agree that it was destroyed, but maybe not that destroyed. You know what they're doing? They're really hurting great pilots that put their lives in the line. CNN is scum, and so is MSDNC. They're all, and frankly, the networks aren't much better. It's all fake news, but they should not have done that. Those pilots hit their targets. Those targets were obliterated, and the pilots should be given credit. They're not after the pilots; they're after me. They want to try and demean.
You don't believe that Iran can rebuild its nuclear program?
What do you think he means by that? He says they are not after the pilots; they're after me. Like, why would they be after you, Trump? What are you not telling us?
Pilots are after me. They want to.
Why is he saying that?
And the pilots should be given credit. They're not after the pilots; they're after me. They want to try and demean.
You don't believe that Iran can rebuild its nuclear program?
Iran will never rebuild its nuclear. From there, absolutely not. That place is under rock. That place is demolished. The B-2 pilots did their job. They did it better than anybody could even imagine. They hit late in the evening. It was dark with no moon, and they hit that target with every one of those things, and that place is gone. But when I see CNN all night long, they're trying to say, well, maybe it wasn't really as demolished as we thought. It was demolished. You take a look at the pinpricks, and you see that place is gone. And I will say, I think CNN ought to apologize to the pilots of the B-2s. I think that MSDNC ought to apologize. I think these guys really, these networks and these cable networks are real losers. You really are. You're real losers. You're gutless losers. I say that to CNN because I watch it. I have no choice. I got to watch that garbage. It's all garbage. It's all fake news. But I think CNN is a gutless group of people. And the people that run it, nobody even knows it's been sold so many times. But the people that run it ought to be ashamed. MSDNC, a guy named Brian Roberts, he heads it. He's a disgrace.
Oh my God, he calling shots. Shots fired. He's shooting shots. Like, he calling names and everything.
He's a weak, pathetic disgrace.
Wow.
Israel says that Iran violated the peace agreement, the ceasefire agreement. Do you believe that Iran is still committed to peace?
Yeah, I do. They violated it, but Israel violated it too.
Are you questioning if Israel is committed?
Israel, as soon as we made the deal, they came out and they dropped a load of bombs, the likes of which I'd never seen before. The biggest load that we've seen. I'm not happy with Israel. You know, when I say, okay, now you have 12 hours, you don't go out in the first hour and just drop everything you have on them. So I'm not happy with them. I'm not happy with Iran either. But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
Whoa. 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 Trump done snapped, didn't he? Trump just snapped, man. What the hell going on? What the hell he on? Trump just snapped, man. That's crazy work. That's crazy work.
Long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that? But I'm really unhappy if Israel's going out this morning because of one rocket that didn't land, that was shot, perhaps by mistake, that didn't land. I'm not happy about that. You know what? We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Do you understand that?
Yo. Hey. All right, man. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. We're going to be doing a lot of streaming, keeping up with not only politics, but this war in Iran and Israel. I have a feeling that it's not going to be over. There's a lot more that can happen. And if not, you know, it's content every day. It's going to always be something happening. When I get back, I got to make some run around the city real quick. When I get back, we're going to get into this Diddy case. So, with that being said, hit that like, subscribe button. It's the Leylo Show. And I'm out.